Today we are going to learn about the directed numbers and their signs and how to simplify directed numbers. Okay. First we will see what are the directed numbers and their signs. Okay. First we go to the number line. When we are going to number line, this is number line. Now you can see the middle number is 0. Then there are numbers on the right hand side of the 0 and then there are some numbers on the left hand side of the 0. Okay. The numbers on the right hand side zeros are called positive numbers. Positive. The numbers on the left hand side are called negative. Negative numbers. Okay. For these numbers we are telling special word integers. These are called positive integers. Then what is this positive and what are this negative? The positive, negative mean direction of the numbers. The positive mean they are on the right hand side of the 0. The negative mean these numbers are in the left hand side of the 0. Okay. Now, if it's positive, the sign, the positive is, this sign is the positive sign. This is the positive. And this sign is negative. When you write a number 2, let's take the numbers. Let's take the numbers on the right hand side of the 0. Then their sign is positive sign. Their sign is the positive sign. This is the sign. The sign in front of the number is called their sign. This is the numbers on the right hand side of zeros are positive. Their signs is positive. Now, when you come to the left hand side of the 0, their signs are negative. Their signs is negative. So we call them negative numbers and the positive numbers. Now, when you write a number normally, okay, when you write a number, it must be the positive number or negative number. Okay, so when you write 2, there's a sign here, but we have written that. The sign, if there is no sign, you should remember, sign of this number is positive. If the sign is the first number is positive, normally we don't write the positive sign, we just write 2. But you should know the sign of this number is positive. If it's negative 2, we must write the negative sign. Students, now we will see how to simplify numbers. The simplify, we can divide into 2 types. The first type is adding and subtracting. The first type is adding and subtracting. The second type is multiplying and dividing. When you also simplify, there are 2 types of simplifications. The first thing is adding and subtracting. The second type is multiplying and dividing. Okay. First, we will learn how to add and how to subtract numbers. Okay, students. Now we will see the adding and subtracting numbers. The rules of adding and subtracting very simple. The first rule is, if the sign same, The signs are same. We should add. If the signs are same, we should add. If the signs are different, the signs are different, we should subtract. Then when you get some example, you'll understand this very clearly. Let's take one example. Look at this example one. Okay, look at the signs, look at the numbers here. What are the numbers? 3 and 5. The numbers here is 3 and 5. The sign of 3 is the sign of the number is the sign in front of it. The sign of the 3 is negative. The sign of the 5 is the sign in front of that. That is also negative. Remember, if these two signs same, we should add these two numbers. We are adding these two numbers. Then add. When you are adding 3 plus 5, the answer is 8. Then you have to get the sign of the answer. The sign of the answer when you are subtracting, adding, is always the sign of the larger number. The larger number means number without considering sign. We are just taking the magnitude of the number. What's the number here? 3. Number here is 5. The 5 is bigger than 3. The sign of the larger number is negative, so sign of the answer also negative. Let's take another example. 4 plus 5. What is the sign of 5? It's positive. The sign in front of it. This is positive. What is the sign in front of the 4? Is there a sign? There's a sign. I had told you if there are number alone without sign, that sign is also positive. The sign here is positive. The sign here is positive, but we don't write the sign. But you should remember the sign here is positive. I write the positive sign here. Then this is positive. This sign is positive. If the signs are same, the same sign of these two numbers, so you should add. You should add. Okay, let's add 4 and 5. 9. The sign, what is the larger one? This is 4, this is 5. The larger one is 5. The sign of the 5 is positive. The answer is positive 9. Okay, student. Let's go to one more example. Minus 3 plus. What is sign of 3? Negative. This is negative. This one, the sign of the 5 is positive. This is positive. Then, when you are making mistakes, when there is a sign between 3 and 5, they just add these two. That is completely wrong. You have to look at the sign. The sign of the 5 is positive. The sign of the 3 is negative. If the signs are different, you should subtract. You should subtract. So these two numbers you have to subtract. Okay, you should subtract. So subtract what? You have to subtract a smaller number from the larger number. Here we are considering size of the number, the magnitude of the number without considering sign. The number here is 3, number here is 5. So 5 is bigger than 3, so you have to subtract 3 from 5. We cannot subtract 5 from 3. We have to subtract 3 from 5. When you subtract 3 from 5, the answer is 2. Now what is the sign? The bigger one is 5, its sign is positive. the answer is positive 2. If the signs are positive, we don't want to write the sign, the answer is positive 2. Okay, just 2. The fourth. This is what eyes are used to. 5 minus 3 is 2. How it comes? The sign of the 5 is positive. Sign of the 3 is negative. So you have to subtract. From 5 you have to subtract 3. Answer is 2. The bigger one is 5. Its sign is positive. The answer is positive 5. Okay. You have to subtract 3 from 5. You have to subtract 3 from 5. The answer is 2. What is the sign? The bigger one is 5. Its sign is positive. The answer is positive 2. We don't want to write positive sign here. The answer is 2. Okay. Now student, always remember, when you look at this negative sign, don't subtract. When you look at the positive sign, don't add. You have to look at the sign of the both numbers. Then you have to decide whether you are adding or you have to subtract. Okay. Let's take some more examples. You have to do it alone. Okay, students. There are 12 questions for you. Do them alone. Okay. Now we will see the answers. This negative signs are same, so you have to add them. 3 and 6 when you add, you will get 9. The sign of the larger one is negative. Negative 9. Go to next one. 8 minus 10. You have to subtract because this is negative. This sign is positive. Okay. From 10 you have to subtract 8. Okay. If the signs are different, you have to subtract. Always you have to subtract the small number from the larger number. So if the large number is after the small number, even though you have to subtract it. From 10 you have to subtract 8. The answer is 2. The sign is negative, sign of the large one. Here 3 minus 8. This is positive, this is negative. From 8 you have to subtract 3. When you subtract 3 from 8, the answer is 5. Bigger one is 8. The sign is negative, so answer is negative. Here both numbers are same, but look at the sign. This is positive, this is negative, so you have to subtract. From 5 you have to subtract 5. Answer is 0. Okay, we don't write positive or negative for the 0. 0 doesn't have a sign, so answer is just 0. 6 minus 3. This is positive and this is negative. So you have to subtract 3 from 6. Answer is 3. Sign is positive. This is 3 minus 6. This is positive and this is negative. So you have to subtract it. Subtract 3 from 6. Answer is 3. Large one is 6. This sign is negative, so answer is negative 2. If the positive, you don't want to write positive one. If it's negative, you must write negative. This is negative, this is positive. You have to subtract. You have to subtract 8 from 10. The answer is 2. Sign of the bigger one is negative, so answer is negative 2. Here, negative, negative. You have to add them. When you are adding 10 and 1, this becomes 11. The sign of the bigger one is negative, so answer is negative. This one. Negative, positive. You have to subtract. You have to subtract 10 from 13. The answer is 3. What is the bigger one? 13 is sign is positive. Answer is positive 3. So minus 10 plus 13 is 3. 8 minus 0 is 8. Bigger one is positive. So answer is positive 8. It means just 8. 0 minus 8. There is no sign. Here sign is negative. So you have to subtract. 8 minus 0 is 8. Sign is negative. Negative 5 plus 0. Positive, negative. So from 5 you have to subtract 0. Answer is 5. Bigger one is negative. Answer is negative 5.